The 1859 war in Italy, known as the Second Italian War of Independence, was horrific, with the terrible Solferino battle that killed nearly 5,500 soldiers and injured almost 23,000. This motivated Henry Dunant to begin a campaign that resulted in the Geneva Conventions and the establishment of the International Red Cross in 1863. 4 years later, in 1867, Caritas will be created in Germany. This process continued, and in the aftermath of the World War I, 1914 to 1918, large NGOs were founded, such as Save the Children UK, and also the League of Nations. Likewise, before, during and immediately after the Second World War, from 1939 to 1945, many charitable initiatives were started for the masses of refugees in war-torn Europe. Examples of those still involved in today's international humanitarian responses are Oxfam, Norwegian Refugee Council, the Irish Refugee Council, and Catholic Research Services. The United Nations were formed in 1945 with the stated aims of facilitating cooperation in international law and security, economic development, social progress, human rights, and world peace. Prominent UN organizations involved in humanitarian assistance today are the World Food Programme, the World Health Organization, the United Nations High Commission to Refugees, the United Nations International Funds for Children, Food and Agricultural Organization, etc. During the Cold War from 1947 to 1991 that followed the Second World War, many other conflicts occurred in places like Afghanistan, Angola, Korea, Vietnam, the Middle East, and Latin America. At the same time, the development agenda in the new states rose in an attempt to support their economic, social, and political development. The Nigerian Civil War, Biafra War, from 1967 to 1970, is seen as the first real test for international non-governmental organizations. Media all around the world largely covered the war, asking for a partisan approach of the humanitarian aid against the principle of non-intervention on domestic affairs. The response to this crisis was the ICRC's first large-scale relief operation and Oxfam's second field operation. As a result of the Biafra War, the French organisation Doctors Without Borders is created in 1971. The famine following the civil strife in Ethiopia from 1983 to 1985 is also seen as another milestone in the history of humanitarian response for two reasons. Firstly, the role of the media. By this time, a TV news report documented the unfolding crisis.
Thousands of wasted people are coming here for help.
Subsequent media coverage resulted in floods of donations towards humanitarian aid organisations. Secondly, Band Aid or Live Aid initiatives that raised £150 million of donations from the general public through a multi-venue rock music concert for humanitarian assistance. Still, this crisis is believed to have claimed the lives of 1 million people. During the 1990s, humanitarian response was carried out in conflict areas such as Angola, Chechnya, Rwanda, Yugoslavia, etc., as well as in areas affected by natural catastrophes such as the floods in North Korea, massive tsunami in Bangladesh, earthquakes and hurricanes. Since 2000, international humanitarian major responses in conflict situations include those in Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia and Sudan. Some major relief operations to natural disasters include those to the Aceh, Thailand tsunami in 2004, the 2008 cyclone that hit Myanmar, the earthquake in Haiti, and the floods in Pakistan in 2010, the Horn of Africa drought crisis in 2011, and the recent typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines in 2013. In sum, the past 2 decades have seen a massive expansion of the international humanitarian system, both in terms of the financial resources, number, and diversity of actors involved. Today, various international organisations working in humanitarian response are mainly organised in 3 main families. That is, the Red Cross movement, with International Committee of Red Cross, International Federation of the Red Cross, and 138 national societies, and the United Nations organisations and their humanitarian agencies, such as the UNHCR, UNICEF, WFP, and OCHA. There are over 1,740 international non-governmental organisations registered on Relief Web, a recognised humanitarian web platform. These 3 main players come together in the Interagency Standing Committee, the IASC, as the primary mechanism for interagency coordination of humanitarian assistance. It is a unique forum involving the key United Nations and non-United Nations humanitarian partners. International non-governmental organisations are represented through the International Council of Voluntary Agencies. The committee was established in 1992 in response to a UN resolution aimed at the strengthening of the coordination of humanitarian emergency assistance of the United Nations. Primary mechanism for interagency coordination of humanitarian assistance is chaired by Office Coordination for Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, and the Emergency Relief Coordinator. The primary objectives of the IASC are threefold: to develop and agree on system-wide humanitarian policies, to allocate responsibilities among agencies in humanitarian programs, to identify areas where gaps in mandates or lack of operational capacity exist.